Managing Day to Day with Christina Laster. I am here, Janae Robinson, sitting in for Christina Laster, and we're here with the National Parents Union, and we're just going to have a grandiose time. We're going to continue our talk that we had last week. We have two guests today back here with the Black Student Union. So go ahead and welcome our students to the stage. Round of applause. So we're going to have Tiana is going to be with us here. Tiana, are you here? Hey, Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea's here first. Hey, Chelsea. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Hello, Miss Tiana.
Hi.
You know I'm all the way live. It's early. It's early. Wake up. No, I'm kidding. Okay, bring it back down. So we're back here, and we want to continue our talk with you all. The time went by very fast last week, right? So if you want to just give the parents out there that are new today watching, just who you are and just a little snippet of background of who you are and what BSU you belong to, if you feel comfortable. Okay, and then we'll take it from there. So who's going to go first? Okay.
Hi, my name is Tiana. I'm the current president of Chaparral High School's Black Student Union. I am now a senior in high school. I will be if the school year starts up again. We don't really know. And a little bit about me, I really love Marvel Comics, as you can see by my room, and I love to draw, and I love to make people laugh.
Awesome. Take us away, Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I just finished my freshman year at Chaparral High School, and I was the secretary for the BSU.
Okay, good to have you both back today. I'm really, really excited about how you all are here and you're giving your testimonies about your experiences in BSU. And we're just going to take it from there and give you all more of an opportunity to speak up about some of your experiences that you felt being an African-American student in Black Student Union in a predominantly minority or predominantly white area. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you all do that, but I do want to give you a quote that's really near and dear to me. We must reject not only the stereotypes that others hold of us, but also the stereotypes that we hold of ourselves. And that's by the great Shirley Chisholm. You know, I'm so glad you're here because that's speaking volumes. You being here is that quote in a nutshell. So thank you so much for coming here and standing up for what you believe in. And take us away. How did you feel about being in a dominant cultured area, you know, as an African-American female student?
Well, I would say for me, so like I'm a bit of a nerd, and so throughout most of my high school career, I've taken mostly AP classes, and it's been like a little bit hard for me to find people that I relate to that look like me. Because the majority of people who are taking like AP biology or AP English literature don't really look like me. Like it's mostly white students in my class, or like maybe a few Hispanic kids, or like a bunch of Asian kids, but like there's never really any Black kids in my classes. And I would say like I've taken at least 10 AP classes in total, and I've only had about like 3 fellow Black students in my classes, one of them being lyric in my AP bio class in sophomore year. And so it's been like really hard for me to find people that like I can relate to beyond just like knowing the answer to number 5. And it's like I want to find people who I want there to be an education system that encourages students of color to take more rigorous classes.
Now, what do you think that would look like when you say encourage? What are some intentional things that educators or school districts could do to, you know, help in that area? What would that look like coming from a student standpoint? What would that look like?
Well, for one thing, I feel like, and just like as a general like thing, I feel like teachers shouldn't assume that just because a student's brown, they're not gonna understand the content. Because I've definitely been like profiled in that sense where a teacher believes that like I wouldn't understand something because I'm Black. Like I remember in my elementary school, I tested for GATE, which is like gifted and talented students, but like my dad wanted me to skip kindergarten because like I already knew everything that was in the kindergarten curriculum. but the school wouldn't let me. But then one of my Asian friends did the exact same thing, and they let her skip kindergarten because she's Asian. But then for me, I had to go through kindergarten and be bored for 2 years because I'm brown. It's like
Wow.
it's
Wow.
like if we had an education system that didn't like automatically put black kids in the box that they can't do it, then we would have more diversity in our more advanced classes.
Mm. Now, Chelsea, you're nodding your head. Has that been your experiences as well?
Well, I haven't really experienced anything that similar to what Tiana said, but I do understand like how the school system should be like way more inclusive and shouldn't just like assume certain things just because of our skin.
Mm.
Yeah.
What other, outside of the system being sort of set up to not to keep, African American students in a box, from your words, Chelsea, what has been some other challenges on campus, especially, saying I'm a BSU student. By the way, I have that BSU t-shirt. I should have had my chaparral t-shirt. I just didn't want to wear it. I didn't get permission, but I do have that t-shirt. Thank you. I love the shirt. So when you put that shirt on, what were some things that you experienced, Chelsea, having that shirt on around campus?
Well, for me, when I would like represent the BSU, I would feel confident. But the students around me would be like, oh, the BSU, like they would ask me what that means, and I would tell them. And then they would also like think it's like a bad club or something, like it's only exclusive to Black people. And I was like, no, it's like pretty much open for anyone, but the main focus is on Black people and to educate other students.
Wow. Wow. Now, have you seen a change in your friend dynamics since you all became BSU students? Because I know Tiana, you said that you took a lot of AP classes and you didn't see a lot of students that looked like you, and your normal study group people. Did you see like a change in the dynamic with your friends?
Definitely. I
Yeah.
feel like my junior year was probably my best year as far as getting to know people. Like I got to know Chelsea and I got to know Lyric and a few other students who graduated, like Josh Swift and Shania Ard and another freshman named Peyton New. Those are like my homies. And I also knew like a lot more Black people than I knew before because I'd never really seen them on campus until we started having meetings every single Wednesday, and then started getting to know these people more and being like, this is like a new tribe for me, basically.
Okay. What about you, Chelsea?
Well, I did have a pretty good connection with everyone, almost everyone in the BSU. And like there was like I don't know how to explain it, but when I would like walk around campus, I wouldn't see that many Black students, but when I went to the BSU meetings, I would see like all these new people. I'm like, wow, I did not know this many Black people were in this school. So it's pretty surprising for me, but like in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Now, do you think that, you all's beliefs or your aspirations to have the club be, or the student union be like really encompassed in the school culture? Did you see that as a challenge from the students, from the staff? Did you see it a challenge at any time between some of the students on campus that didn't look like you, and then the staff that didn't understand? Because I think it's more of an understanding, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna put
I
words in
feel
your mouth.
like it just really depends on like what population you think about. Because I remember every semester we do a thing called Club Rush at lunch, which is where we set up a bunch of booths for each club.
Mhm.
And we were advertising our club, obviously. And then like a white kid came up and he's like, no, I don't really see race. And I'm like, that's on you. And then he tried to like start an argument with me about how like we shouldn't have this club because race doesn't exist, even though there's a young conservatives club. But okay. Um, but I would say like it's more on the staff's behalf because I know that, like I said before, like we were trying to get our Asia Pacific club to join us to join us as a club as well, like to talk on certain issues. Then like our vice president of BSU is white. It's like the students are more open to the idea of like all inclusion, but I feel like some staff members believe that it's like too sensitive, or like it makes them uncomfortable to think about like Black students wanting to be heard on campus.
Really? So, um, Chelsea, I know that some of the books or the literature that some of the staff chooses on campuses is a bit offensive when you hear certain words that you were taught are not appropriate for us as a culture. Do you feel that um, that sensitivity goes both ways? Because it's sensitive to hear a book in front of an entire class and using that language, and then to have to try to get your club up and running, and they're saying, it's too sensitive. Do you see there's a parallel between those two things?
I do. Well, for the club part, I feel like we should definitely be like more known around the school, like
Mm-hmm.
not just as a club, but like kind of like just for more events, just to show what we're about, because we do have a few events,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like we did have like the barbecue, but we also tried to have kind of like a dance or a prom type of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
they said they just like denied it. And
What was the
honestly,
reason?
hmm?
Excuse me, what was the reason?
I
They
think it
said,
was like,
oh,
yeah,
they
Tiana.
said it was because like we had too many dances already, like because
Yeah.
we had homecoming in September, then we have prom in May, and they said like a third dance would just be too much, even though I've never heard that before for any other club.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Well, then that's when you have to get creative. If there's no seat for you, you got to bring a folding chair. So then that's when you get creative on the type of activities that you put on. And then what happens when you get in the habit of having too many activities and then there's no change in certain issues on campus? So we can have a lot of activities, right?
Mhm.
How do you move from having a lot of activities to real progression as far as the systemic racism that you all have seen and witnessed and even experienced in a school system?
well, first of all, screw Huckleberry Finn. I hate this book. I hated reading this book. This is the dumbest book I've ever read, and I don't want to see it ever again because it's not helpful to our curriculum. It's just talking about, it's basically like books like Huckleberry Finn and then like To Kill a Mockingbird and like books like that are just books that make Black people feel like we're inferior to
Mm-hmm.
even like a white child, which is why I hated that book. And so
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need to start including more books by Black authors, like Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, or Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, or like
Mm-hmm.
even more modern books. Like my mom and I are reading a book called I'm Still Here by Austin Channing Brown. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really good, and it talks about the narrative of growing up as a Black girl in a primarily white community. I'm like, that's me.
Right,
It's
right.
like we need more, and not even just for Black kids, but for like Hispanic kids and Asian kids as well. Just like students of color need more representation. We need to stop relying on a curriculum that preaches to the white superiority and white savior that doesn't really exist.
I love your truth. I so love your truth. As an educator, I always try to find a way to celebrate culture. I'm a physical education teacher, so I try to find culture in every month that I deal with my students, because I never want to come off being, I know everything and I'm just going to rely on this. Because I tell my kids, if you know who you are, you will be less likely to be crazy. You'll be less likely to be, off the chain, or that unruly student. What about you, Chelsea?
Um, Wait, can you repeat the question again?
The question was, I know you all have experienced some systemic racism just by some of the conversations that we've had and just the tidbit that you've given us. How do you think that we can change the way that the school system is looked at from African American children, if that's an easier question than the first one?
Hmm. Well, I'm not too sure about the entire school system, but
Mm-hmm.
as far as my school, as far as my school, When it comes to like teaching other students that aren't just Black how everything in BSU works, like not just like, I don't know, I feel like some people will see it as like some ghetto club or something,
Right.
but I feel like, I mean, it's like to educate more people, not just for like, okay, this is kind of messy, but it's like, how do I put it?
It's like it's not limited to just Black people, and it can't
Yeah,
continue to be just Black people trying to teach white people how to not be racist.
Right.
and then,
Because like
yeah, and then,
even our club vice president is white, and she's really adamant about informing people like why she does this, and like even her dad is saying like, why are you joining that racist club, even though it's not racist. She enjoys learning about the culture and she wants to help, you know. It's like it
Now,
needs to
no, go ahead.
I
You know,
feel
it's
like
a delay, so
it needs
I'm
to
sorry. I
not.
don't want to cut you off.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, love.
Oh, sorry. It's like it needs to stop being viewed as a Black problem and not as a human problem and in general.
Oh, I love it. You know, I love that you say that it's not just a Black problem, it's a human problem, because we want to change the ecosystem. We want to change the narrative. And that change also will come from having educators that look like you. You want to
Mm-hmm.
have curriculum that is being taught by someone who looks like the students. I think that students grasp concepts when they can put those walls down. We call in education, we call them scotomas, and those are mental blocks that we all have. It's like buying a car. I'm gonna get a Mercedes, and then you get a Mercedes, and then all of a sudden you see all these Mercedes because you have this mental block. We want to be able to change that ecosystem by changing the narrative with educators who look like the students. How do you think that we could do that from the student perspective? How do you think you can do it?
Like hire Black teachers.
I know, but how? How would a student group, a student led group, go to a district and say, we want more people at the school in admin level, teacher level, that look like us? How do you do that?
Well, like what you said, it's a psychological thing because it's like most people will typically like see like you know you accidentally call your teacher mom an accident. It's just like
Right.
because students see their teachers as like an authoritative parental figure. So like
Mhm.
if that teacher looks like them and makes them feel safe, they're going to be more inclined to want to learn and want to participate. But then if you're only faced with like these conservative, old, mean, crusty white teachers, no shade. I'm just saying it's in general. It's like
And
it's
just
gonna be
speak your
more.
truth.
It's
Be,
gonna
be
be there's gonna be more opposition to wanting to even go to school because they don't feel welcome there.
Hmm. So, have you had any teachers that look like you yet? Either of you?
My mom,
well, yeah, Miss Cox.
she's not my teacher, so no. Like in general education, no.
Yeah, no.
Really? None, not at all. What about admin?
Well,
The closest I've gotten is my seventh grade science teacher, who's an Indian woman. She's
Mhm.
brown, but that's I never had a Black teacher. That's the closest I've ever gotten.
Wow. Okay, so I see Josh is here. Josh, are you there? Hey, Josh, you got to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, so good to see you. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about how some of your experiences, BSU students on the campuses, and I'm going to give you an opportunity just to say hi, who you are, and give you a little tidbit, and then we'll go right back into our discussion. So you
Okay.
are
Josh, I am going to be a junior at Chaparral, and I'm in BSU and GSA.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So the question was, how do we change the ecosystem with students that have teachers that look like them? How as a student-led group, what does that look like for African American students or kids of color? What does that mean, or how would it look to get teachers and administration that look like them? How would you do that?
Like how?
Yeah, how?
You can always go to the district.
And do what?
But
You gotta use your descriptive language, Joshua.
we can always speak up. We can write letters. We can start
Mm.
petitions. We could even file complaints. But
Now, have you guys done that yet? Have you guys thought about doing something like that yet?
not yet. But I feel like we should doing it. We should start doing it right now.
Mm.
I
That's
mean,
really
we
good.
haven't really done it at our school specifically because we're kind of chill and shy. But I know that at Temecula Valley High School, there was like this big movement towards like changing the environment of that school because it's like extremely racist and toxic environment. And a few students wanted to get together to, they have this big thing called TVA, Temecula Valley High School Needs Change, and it became like a huge like district-wide thing to promote more diversity on that campus. So
Now, how do you
we could do something similar to that.
now how do you guys know that that school is, when you make statements, I want you to tell me how you know that. How do you
Social
know?
media.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What experiences have you all had on social media with racism?
Like I've heard so many stories about racism, and hate on Instagram. I've heard stories on Snapchat. Like it's all over. I think if we didn't have social media, then maybe we wouldn't even know.
Mm. Now, have you all been faced with racism on campus, like to your face? Experiences like live experiences?
Off
Yeah.
campus, but not
Oh,
on
off campus.
campus.
Chelsea, you're saying yes, you have?
Well, I have because I had this one friend. I mean, we're not that close anymore because he's kind of racist, but um, but she was like singing a song or something, and she just straight up said the N-word like straight to my face, and she wasn't black, and I was like, oh, like, and she's like, or I was like, why would you say that? What makes you think you can say that? She's like,
Mm.
oh, it's just a song, and I was like, no, it's not a song. It's a word with a meaning behind it. She's like, it's just a song, and I was like, no, and then she just walked away, and I was like, I don't know, I was surprised by that, because like she's not even a person to really like cuss or anything, and she
Mhm,
just straight up said that, so I don't know if it was like intentional or not,
mhm.
but yeah.
Do you feel that a lot of students around campus let too many things slide?
Oh
And
yes.
that's why the culture becomes what it is? Yeah. And then when you guys bring it up to adults, what happens?
We
I've
don't want
noticed
to
it as a
get too
kid.
involved. We don't want to, de-escalate it. It's like, and not even just with racism in general, but I noticed that a lot of the staff doesn't really like, dare I say,
Hair.
care, because like even with issues with bullying and students who are like dealing with like massive depression and self-harm, it's just like they just tell them to like brush it off and move on. It's
Yeah.
the same with racism, it's the same with homophobia, it's the same with like religious prejudices. It's just like it's not really dealt with because it's like they don't want to like get their hands dirty with trying to change it. It's just like just move on and like treat it like it's nothing when it's really not, and it affects students daily.
So that's the feeling you get, that they feel that they're getting their hands dirty by making change, or it's just like, oh, be quiet. That's really good to know. Like, what are some things that you think that as an educator um, I can change? What can I change when I look in my classroom? What can I change?
Oh, I'm not sure how you teach. I'm certain you're an amazing teacher, but it's like I feel like just staff in general needs to like understand that we're kids and we're still developing, we're still learning how to cope with certain social situations. Like we're not gonna understand how to deal with everything, so that's why students will like either act up, or they'll not, or they like fail their classes or things like that. It's like they need to be able to start the conversation like, hey, why do you feel this way? What can I do to help? Rather than just telling them to man up and move on, because we're still, like I said, we're still kids.
Mm. Oh, so being able to start the conversation is something that is really important too. And then also listening to some of those hard things, because I think as adults, we forget that students do have a voice, because I grew up in the era of, speak when spoken to. And, I think some adults also have that style of teaching, command style, just, you're going to do this, this, and this, and don't allow students to really open up. And I'm really grateful for you guys opening up today. I have a challenge for you. I challenge you students to reach out to the other BSUs that are around you, not only in Temecula. Reach out, and I can help you. And I know Christina will help you. Reach out to the other BSUs to try to have that conversation with other members in other districts to see if you all have similar um, things going on, that you all want to pick out maybe one or two things that you will commit yourselves to trying to change, whether it be more literature for people of color that are represent people of color, or whether it be really taking on bullying and breaking it down. Because I think a lot of times when we talk about bullying, it gets melted all into a melting pot. Not, it's racism, this is what it is, we need to hash this out, and this is how we do. And then I want you to also talk about how you can use your voice to make a change with other students, because we can sit in this setting like this and we can talk about some of the things that have happened to you and some of your experiences, but we also want to take those experiences and look forward so that we can truly make a difference. Because we can sit on the sidelines and whimper and cry, but the real change comes with action. So I challenge you all to reach out to some other students in other areas that have similar demographics. I know Murrieta's close by, right? Elsinore is right here, Menifee, and start off small, not something big. Start off small, and then also, what would you like for other students in your surrounding areas to know? Like a BSU network. I know there's a network out there that you all can tap into, but I wanted you all to get those students, so you all can have those real conversations that you guys have in those Snapchat rooms in an appropriate setting. So, and then everyone feels comfortable so that you're not taking on this burden by yourself. You all can have a voice with numbers. Well, our time is coming to a close, my young Padawans. I again want to thank you so much for coming on. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to give a last little snippet of what you would like to share with the national parents. So you want to go ahead, Josh, since you were last coming on, I want to give you an opportunity to speak. You want to give like a tip? What do you want to tell the parents?
Always use your voice, because that your voice is very powerful and it can surprise many other people.
Awesome. Chelsea?
When your kids actually use their voice, don't be surprised or don't underestimate them when they do so, because that kind of brings them down. So just encourage them to do that.
I love it. Tiana?
I would say building off of that, don't like, even though we are still kids, don't treat us like we're toddlers, because we do understand what's going on in the world and we do want to change it for the better.
Okay, well, I love it. Well, that is it for Managing Day to Day with Christina Laster here at the National Parents Union page. Make sure, parents, that you tap into some of the other shows that goes on the other hours of the day that we're here, and then tap in with me on Thursday with PE with Coach. Love you, parents. Love you, students. Love you, America. Bye-bye.